Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Yaron Gabel and I would like to welcome you to another DENTCA webinar. Today we're going to be talking about 3D printed dentures and why they're so important to dental laboratories across the globe. As a little bit of an introduction to DENTCA 3D printed dentures, CAD/CAM dentures have been in the market for about 6 years and they completely revolutionized the way we make dentures. Of course, within those 100 years, we've seen materials evolve a little bit when it comes to making dentures. For example, there's been the appearance of flexible denture materials for certain partial dentures, but we've never truly seen an upgrade when it comes to complete dentures up until this point when milling and printing appeared in the market. That's when we actually managed to incorporate digital outputs into what we do on everyday dentistry in terms of laboratories and dental offices, and we finally able to catch up with the rest of the digital processes that have been slowly adapted in the US when it comes to technology. CAD/CAM dentures, of course, have incorporated many of the traditional accurate methods of making dentures, such as using a cobble tracer, Gothic arch tracing methods, which used to be very accurate in the past. But the problem is, assembling a face bow in the patient's face and getting all these measurements used to take a lot of appointments, a lot of time, not to mention it was very uncomfortable for the patient. So now we're able to reproduce this digital articulations and having the software calculate these ideal occlusal setups for us without the hassle and the time involved in using the old measuring system. So everything that's being done at DENTCA is based on sound prosthodontic principles. We are just doing it a little differently and a little easier for doctors and dental laboratories alike. The biggest problem that we're encountering in the US right now is that there's an increased demand for dentures that seems to be growing every day. According to the American College of Prosthodontics, there are over 36 million fully dentulous individuals in the US, and the numbers are expected to grow over 200 million in the next 2 decades. 90% of those who are dentulous have dentures, and 50% of those individuals get new dentures made almost every year. So we're expecting a huge number of steadily increasing demand for dentures to be ravishing over the US in the next couple of years. On top of that, as you can see in the next graphic, the number of dental laboratories with a payroll in the US has been steadily declining. We've seen numbers dropping as low as 6,000 laboratories in the US by 2018, and we expect the number to continue to go down, either because these laboratories are being acquired by bigger laboratories, or they're just closing altogether because they're going out of business due to the high competition. On top of that, as we can see, the number of employees per laboratory also seems to be decreasing. These could be either because of the economical crisis that the country seems to be going through, or the fact that with automation, less and less employees are needed in each of these offices. On top of that, denture making is a time-consuming process that requires several steps and a lot of attention to detail. You need very skilled technicians to be able to make these dentures. And the problem we're encountering in the US is that most of the technicians that you will be able to hire into your dental laboratory only know how to make crown and bridge, as it seems to be more lucrative to focus into crown and bridge. But if you actually try to find a technician that knows how to process dentures to make denture wax-ups, it's very difficult to find. And on top of that, doctors want processes and turnaround times to be quicker and quicker. So as we move forward, we can't take a month and a half, 2 months to finalize a denture anymore. Doctor wants next day dentures, 1 week dentures, and the digital output seems to be the solution for that. Not to mention that when a denture is broken beyond repair or lost, the doctor has to retake impressions and start the process all over again with conventional dentistry. So as we move forward, we're going to get a demand steadily increased and supply is going to become very limited. So are you ready as a lab to handle the avalanche of denture requests that your lab will be finding soon? So DENTCA would like to offer this solution by creating DENTCA's 3D printed digital dentures to be incorporated with your dental laboratory. And the benefits that you get from doing a digital denture with DENTCA is, number one, more accurate representation and less degree of distortion of the intaglio surface. This is because A, you would be scanning impressions if you use the DENTCA trays, and B, you will be printing these versus cooking the conventional acrylic in your cooking units, which, as you know, temperature heavily distorts the acrylic, which is why we actually create post stamps on our dentures. So by 3D printing them, the degree of distortion is less, which means our dentures are going to be better fitting and with much more retention than your conventional dentures. Also, denture design being automated means that there's less degree of probabilities with human errors. You technicians are great in creating wax setups, but as you know, every human being has good days and bad days. Days where you're either busier or you're not feeling that well, and maybe the consistency of the work cannot always be at 100%. But with software, we're ensuring that our digital setups are always going to be 100% ideal based off of the records that the doctor submits. Of course, if the doctor submits a record that has a bite being shifted by 1 millimeter towards the right, there will be that deviation with the software. So I would just like to clarify that the fact that we're using digital technology doesn't mean that the software detects anything the doctor does and fix it for him. He's still responsible for giving us good records, as it's always been with any restoration. And finally, of course, as we just discussed, the capture of digital records and keeping a digital pack of files allows us to create duplicates or reproduce a denture that has been previously designed with DENTCA software and printed out as many times as necessary. Some doctors might request a duplicate right away to deliver the patient 2 sets of dentures on the day of delivery, or they might lose a denture, break it beyond repair, and the retrievability of that file and that denture makes it so the doctor doesn't have to take impressions from scratch, but rather get a substitute right away. So if you need to remake anything, this will streamline your remake production. So you will spend very little time remaking it, however you can still charge the doctor full price for a new denture. And of course, by using top-of-the-line algorithm matching technology, it'll result in higher predictability and quality consistency for your dental laboratory. You can now predict the results that you are going to get with better quality. You are not going to be wondering, well, you know, maybe the technician messed it up when he set up the teeth, maybe this happened, maybe that happened. You know that if the doctor sends the correct records, you will get an accurate denture. And of course, this all translates to increased profitability due to automation processes in your dental laboratory. Of course, as you're printing the materials, you're taking less time to make a denture, you're using less people. You can take literally any person, train them to set the printer, train them to assemble the dentures, and they can be solely dedicated to that. You no longer need to hire specialized technical people to be able to do this type of jobs, which makes it finding people to perform this job a lot easier. And of course, you need less people and can produce a lot more dentures. So as you move forward, if you have a fast printer, DENTCA materials and DENTCA design software, your revenue can increase as your manufacture time, of course, decreases. And the DENTCA 3D printable denture base and teeth are made of several acrylates that are similar to PMMA, which means it has the same properties as your conventional acrylic that you use with regular dentures, except they have the convenience that can cure through UV light instead of temperature. And as we explained before, this means that there's less degree of distortion. However, the strength and the performance of the material, meaning how quickly they can wear and how brittle the material is just like your conventional acrylics. So we get all the benefits of regular acrylic without the hassle and distortion of regular acrylic cooking. Relines and repairs can be done with our material just like any other dentures. You can use regular acrylic to do a reline, or you could use the printed material that we provide for you to print these dentures to repair them in case they fracture. However, to be honest with you, with how cheap it is to make a denture out of printed material, you're probably better off making it anew. And imagine the surprise for the doctor where you say, you know what, the price of a regular reline is just the same as printing you a new one, so why don't I give you a new one for the same price? Both the patient and the doctor will be very happy to hear that. Product indications, what can we make nowadays? We can make you complete dentures, we can make implant over dentures, and we can make immediate dentures with this technology. So let me give you a little bit of an overview on fabrication. So the general flow works like this. You can either have the doctor take your regular impressions, pour up the stone models, create the wax rims, take a bite with your wax rims, and you can scan both upper lower stone and your wax rims to be able to create a digital flow, or you can use the DENTCA trays. The DENTCA trays are special or unique in the way that you can do your CR tracing and your vertical dimension in the same appointment, that you take your final impressions, allowing the doctor to save some time and finishing cases in less number of appointments. So whether you use the DENTCA trays, which you can order online, or you go the conventional method, you will scan any of these records and obtain 3 records to submit to DENTCA. We will need a maxillary scan, a mandibular scan, and a bite scan. Whether you're doing a single arch or a complete set, we'll need the same thing from you. And then you can place an order online, and what DENTCA will do is DENTCA will design this case for you using our own proprietary software. And then what we'll do is we'll send you the files, and you have the option of printing a 3D printed trine that the doctor can use, which will be an exact replica of the final denture, except it's going to be an all white. And it's kind of going to be like your wax setup, where the doctor just sees it, makes sure the patient bites properly, fit form and function looks okay before moving to final. However, one really big benefit of doing a trine with the trine material is that you can actually check for retention on the trine, which is not something you can do on your base plates and your wax setup. And whether you go for an optional trine where the doctor can take a new bite or do a wash if there's any retention issues or bite issues, or tell us what you want to change, for example, move the midline towards the right 3 millimeters, or moving direct to final. So whether you do the optional trine or you move direct to final, eventually you will get to a point where you will get tooth files and base files from us. You can print both separately, and then you can assemble it together to deliver your doctor a final denture. So what happens on the first appointment when the doctor is taking records? As we mentioned before, there are 3 routes for record taking. First one is to go the conventional way, which is just using your stone model and your wax rims. The advantages to these is, of course, there's less of a learning curve for doctors. They're very familiar with doing wax rims. Everybody knows how to do it. If you have doctors who are a little afraid of technology, they can always go with this first and try a digital denture, and then you can slowly try to switch them into more digital outputs. And of course, there's less error margin on the doctor's end because they're more familiar with the system, and there's more predictable results. The disadvantages, of course, is takes longer manufacture times. You require about 3 appointments to take your initial impressions, make your base plates, make your custom trays, then make your wax rims, take final impressions. So it takes a lot of time to get this done. And of course, a higher number of dental appointments means the doctor is making less revenue at the end of the day. If you use the DENTCA trays, of course, there are shorter manufacture times and steps involved when it comes to the first appointment at the dental office. But there's always the issue of the higher learning curve for these doctors. Learning to use the trays is not hard, but it takes a little bit of practice to kind of get it right, do the CR tracing properly. So they have to study, they have to understand how the trays work in order to make a successful bite, in order to get the good vertical, in order to get good impressions out of that. So there's a little higher chance for errors on doctor's end, as it's a new procedure which is unfamiliar to them. And the last route they can take is if they have an intraoral scanner in their office and they have a patient's existing dentures, they can do a PVS wash directly on the denture. They can do that by putting heavy body on the borders, seating it, border molding it, and then doing a light body wash on everything, taking a bite, and then they can scan the maxillary, they can scan the mandibular, they can scan the bite. So the good thing is for the laboratories, the lab doesn't have to get the impressions and scan them, which means fewer number of dental appointments and less manufacture time on the lab's end. The disadvantages is not everybody knows how to use a intraoral scanner. If the doctor is moving too quickly when scanning this, we could get stitching issues, which is basically how they put together all these pictures. These intraoral scanners work by overlapping images or pictures. So if the doctor moves too quickly, it can stretch or distort the area, and then we might not get a true impression out of that. So the chances of error are a little higher if the doctor is unexperienced with the laboratory, the intraoral scanners. If we're gonna go with wax rims, as I mentioned, it's very simple. Just take initial impressions, create your trays, pour up your models, etc., and submit everything to the laboratory. So in the end, the doctor will have to submit 2 stone models, the wax rims and the bite, for them to be scanned. If you're using the DENTCA trays, you can acquire the DENTCA trays on our website. You can buy them individually, or you can buy a starter kit. The starter kit contains 2 trays of each size. We have 4 different sizes: small, medium, large, and extra large. They're color coded. It also comes with single arch plates that allow you to take impressions for single arch cases. A lip ruler, which allows you to take your upper lip length. It's essentially a papillometer. And then there's a jaw gauge that doctors can use to get their ideal vertical measurement. And of course, there's also an impression manual to guide the doctor through the process of how to take the impressions. And then how the DENTCA trays can improve the DENTCA practice. I already kind of covered this, but depending on patient conditions and familiarity with the impression procedure, the doctor can finish up 3 appointments into one, which means they can do final impressions, they can get their vertical dimension and their CR records in the same appointment without the need to use a Facebook at all. So this is very convenient. Instead of investing about 3 hours of the doctor's chair time, they can do it in about 45 minutes to half an hour, depending on how good the doctor is and how familiar he is with the system. So by using less number of appointments and spending less time means the doctor can, first of all, invest less of his chair time. Each hour for the doctor is costing him money, but also be able to open up new appointment time to see new patients and make an even bigger profit. And of course, in the end, he will be able to get more than 1 dentures out of the system, which is the other benefit, right? And then, as I mentioned before, if he's gonna be duplicating a denture, as you can see in the pictures here, he will do heavy body first in the patient's existing denture, do a light body wash, get his vertical dimension, take a new bite, and then scan everything. So depending on the scanner the doctor has, new scanners will probably take about 10 minutes to scan a full arch. Older scanners might take up to an hour or 2 to scan a full arch. So depending on the intraoral scanner that the doctor has, this may or may not be a good idea for the doctor to use. And if we're doing immediate dentures are a little simpler. As you know, these immediate dentures are going to be relined as soon as the doctor makes the extraction, so we don't have to worry that much about the borders. If you do want to do an immediate denture, either the doctor can submit stone models and a PVS bite to you, which you can scan upper stone model, lower stone model, and the bite, or the doctor can use his intraoral scanner to scan the full arch, full upper, full lower, and full bite. As you know, unfortunately, this is the only time or instance that the doctor can use his intraoral scanner. He'll ask if he can do it with a regular denture. The answer is unfortunately no, as the intraoral scanner cannot capture border molding just yet. But maybe in the future, once intraoral scanners evolve, this will be a reality. Once the doctor is done, he will fill out a prescription, send the case to you. He'll have to select the shades, what type of occlusion he would like, class 1, 2, or 3, and he'll have to select 1 out of the 3 different shapes that we have available. We have ovoid, squared, and square tapered, which we call universal. If he would like to select his own molds, we have a mold guide that we can provide you. As a little bit of description, we have 4 sizes and 3 shapes. So overall, for upper anterior teeth, we have 12 different molds for him to choose from. And then once that's done, you'll get the case. And the first thing you will do, whether they submitted wax rims or DENTCA trays, is for you to examine the impressions, make sure the doctor did a good job with the impressions, you got a good bite, everything looks good, and then prepare the impressions, scan the file, and send the files to DENTCA. As I said before, we will need 3 files: a bite, a maxillary or maxillary stone, and a mandibular or mandibular stone. If you're doing wax rims, it is very, very important that you drill 4 little holes on your stone models. This is gonna really help us in order to be able to get our alignment once you send us the files if you're using stone models and wax rims. So drill 4 holes in each of the stone models with your handpiece, 2 in the front, 1 on each side or 2 on each side, and then rubber band everything together to take your bite. Make sure that your scanner, the laboratory scanner, has the ability to actually scan in 360 degrees. This is one of the requirements that I recommend. So if you have questions whether your laboratory scanner is good enough for the DENTCA system, give us a call. As a rule of thumb, if your scan can scan in 360s and it has enough space in the socket to fill out with 2 stone models and a wax rim, then you're good to go. And then scan your bite, scan your stone model, or scan your DENTCA trace and get us the 3 files that we require, and then place an order on the DENTCA website. If you do want to see a step-by-step video on how to scan, what is required for scan, what to look for, go to our website and you will be able to see all these training videos on how to do certain things or how to manufacture certain things in more detail. But for sakes of moving the information forward, what you will do after you've scanned all your files is create an account, log in, place an order, select the product. In this case, it will be either a full denture design or a single arch design, depending on what you're doing. And then fill out all the prescription, upload any files from your STL files, and then we will design for you. So what happens once we get it on our end? Basically what we will do is first we will align the upper and lower with the bite, and we are going to digitally articulate the case for you, which is exactly the same as mounting everything on an articulator. Then the software will automatically contextualize several anatomical landmarks and create the ideal tooth setup based on where everything should be. And once the teeth are properly aligned and everything is good, then the software will automatically generate the gum shells for you. Now, if you're doing an implant over denture, the software will also create holes for the doctor to pick up the case chair side. In that case, the doctor would have to have taken the impressions with the locator type abutments in place, and then what we'll do is we'll design the space. And one of the really good benefits of using digital technology to create an implant over denture is that the software will automatically figure out how much thickness to give around the hole to ensure that the denture is not going to be fragile anyway. One of the biggest problems we encounter with implant over dentures when they're not done digitally is that either doctor has to create the hole himself, and more often than not he'll drill through, pierce through the teeth, or pierce through the denture, or make it very, very thin so it's very weak and it ends up fracturing. So the software will automatically verify that everywhere on the denture has minimum thickness, even around where the implant areas are. Once you're ready to move forward and you get your files from DENTCA, you will have the opportunity to either do your final denture or the trine. For sakes of explaining on this webinar, we're going to go with trines first. So you will get files that are going to be called AIO or all-in-one, where the teeth and the base are actually in one file. So what you'll need to do is load the file into the printer, pour up the trine material into the printer, and then print the trine, post-cure it, and send it to the dentist. If you would like to know a little bit more on how to build up the supports, load the files into the printer, how much material you need to add, and how long it'll take for printing the space, what the post-curing process for trines is, go online. You'll see a lot of training step-by-step videos that you can use. And essentially, once the doctor gets the trine in his office, he will be evaluating everything. If he did a good job with the vertical, the bite, and the borders, this should be no more than 15-minute appointment. Essentially, the doctor has to make sure the dentures are sitting, check the bite, check the retention, look if the borders are good, and then check any other aspects that he would like or might want to change, like tooth shape, tooth size, midline, overjet, overbite, occlusal plane, lip support, smile line, etc. So, in a nutshell, the way it works is doctor seats the denture, checks everything is correct. If there's a retention issue, he can take a wash if necessary. If there's a bite issue, he can take a bite with PVS or blue mousse. If they do a wash, it's always recommended that they give us a bite even if the occlusion is correct. And lastly, to check the vertical dimension. If they're delivering an implant over denture, even though we create the holes for the abutments, it might be necessary to slightly enlarge them, make sure they're sitting properly, make sure everything is good, and then proceed to finalize the case. A small note, it will be necessary to use PVS tray adhesive in here, as the PVS will not naturally stick to the trine in case you actually need to do a wash. And then if you do not have any retention issues and you just made major adjustments to the borders, it's also recommended that you also do a wash. In this case, instead of using heavy body and light body, we just request that the doctor does a wash with light body. Again, if you want to look at all our protocols for trine, you can look at them online. The doctor will get a piece of paper that will explain to him how to do any of these steps. And then if there's any bite issue, make sure the doctor evaluates the bite on centric, and then he can take a new PVS bite and submit the case back to you. If you would like to make any markings on the trine, such as marking the midline or marking the upper lip length, the smile line, they can do so over the trine and then send it back to you guys. Now, what happens after that? If you just get the trines back and there's no adjustments to be made, or you didn't get a new bite or a new wash, all you have to do is go online and request adjustments directly on our website. You can do that by logging on to your account, finding the existing case, clicking on it, and request adjustments. If you do get a new bite or a new wash, it will be necessary for you to scan the new wash or scan the new bite and then submit those files to us alongside with your order. Again, as I said, this time instead of going to orders, you will click on my account, which is going to be on the upper right, and then you'll find your existing orders. Find that order that belongs to your doctor, click on it, and then a prescription order will appear where you can select anything that you want to change. We just need to know what you want to change, where and by how much. For example, as I said before, move the midline towards the right by 1 millimeter, or a wash or bite was submitted, there's a bite issue, there's a retention issue, please fix, etc., etc. Once we've remodeled, if the doctor decides to move to final, then we will send you 2 separate files. We'll send you all the teeth files for you to print all the teeth files together, and then the base files for you to print the base files together. The way you'll do it this time is you'll print it into 2 separate parts. You'll first pour up the correct gum shade color and print the bases, and then once that's done printing, you will take the base out of the printer, you'll change the liquid into the tooth color, tooth material, and then print the teeth out of that. Once you're done printing, we're gonna do the teeth arrangement. This is what they look like when they're just out of the printer with the support. So we'll have to take some clippers and remove all of the supports. We'll have to smoothen any supporting print areas that are left over, either on the teeth or the denture. Then we are gonna wash them with isopropyl alcohol to remove a little bit of the stickiness. Once you take these out of the printer, they're gonna be very sticky. So we're gonna leave it on a dental lab vibrator and isopropyl alcohol for a while to remove as much of the uncured material as we can. And then we're gonna bond them together. One really good benefit of the DENTCA 3D printed dentures is that you're gonna be using the same printed material that you used to print these cases with to bond the teeth with the base. As you can see, they're kind of like Lego blocks. They just click in together and then you cure them together, which means in the end, you're gonna get a chemical bonding since everything is made out of the same material, which is going to be a lot stronger than when you're actually attaching each individual teeth. So the dentures in the end are going to become monolithic in nature, which means it's almost as if they were done out of one unit. Therefore, if you try to force and pull a tooth out of this denture, you're more likely to break the denture in half than to actually be able to separate one of these teeth, which is one concern that many doctors have. They say, are the teeth going to separate? If you did the bonding process properly, there is no way these can separate whatsoever. So first steps, as I said, pour up the same color curing material in the sockets, seat the teeth in there, put them under a curing light for a couple minutes so they fully cure. Then you can build the papillas with the same material to give it a little bit more aesthetic. And then once you're done assembling it completely together, you will leave them under glycerin on a curing unit for post-curing for about 1 hour. So we'll do 30 minutes on each side. Now, these times may vary depending on what curing unit you have. If you have your own curing unit, let us know. We'll look at the specs, we'll tell you if that will work. If you do acquire one through us, we'll tell you exactly what the curing time is. But as a rule of thumb, you're more or less looking at half an hour per side of the denture. After that, just polish the denture like you normally do with your pumice and your polishing paste, and then the doctor will just deliver it to his patient. 3D printed dentures can be delivered using conventional denture delivery process. In other words, all the doctor has to do is take their PIP paste, look for any pressure spots, and then seat the denture and deliver it to the patient. Look for making smaller occlusal adjustments with their articulating paper, and then the case is delivered. Follow-up appointments are just the same as regular dentures. You will take care of these dentures just the same way as you take care of your regular dentures. You can use polishing paste, they can brush them at home, they just behave like any regular dentures. And implant over dentures are delivered through chairside pickup utilizing cold cure acrylics. This is a process very familiar to doctors. 90% of implant over dentures are being delivered this way, so they should be familiar with how the process works. Additional laboratory information. This is the necessary manufacturer equipment that you required. You need to have either a DENTCA Cine 3D printer and compatible DENTCA printing software, or one of the carbon printers as well. UV curing unit, if you have one, it must meet our required specs. If not, you can acquire one through us. You need to have a dental lab vibrator. You need to have a laboratory scanner able to scan in 360 degrees. We can distribute some of these scanners for you if you want to acquire it through us, or you can acquire it somewhere else. Just make sure you check in with us so we can let you know that's going to work for our system and then your basic denture polishing equipment. How to set up an account with us is very, very simple. If you're interested in moving forward, you can create a corporate account by going online on dentca.com/signup/corporate. Fill out the required information over there. It'll ask you if you want to set an individual account as well. Please click yes, finish the process, and then download and fill out the application and email it and fax it back to us. Once we have that, what we'll do is we'll make sure that you have all the necessary equipment. Give us a call, say, hey, this is what I have, this is what I'm missing. If you want to acquire it through us, we can sell it to you. Once you have all the necessary equipment, then we'll certify you and we'll activate your online account so you can start ordering the denture designs and the 3D printable materials. As per the materials, many of the laboratories always ask me what's the yield on this so they can calculate their overhead. So every kilogram of 3D printable trine material is good for 15 arches. Every kilogram of 3D printable final denture base material is good for 20 arches. It comes in 4 different shades, which is original, reddish pink, which is equivalent to the light reddish pink, light pink and dark pink. And then every kilogram of 3D printable teeth material is good for 30 arches, as we don't use that much material to actually print. It comes available in 6 shapes: A1, A2, A3, A3.5, B1, and B2. And as a little bit of a summary, the workflow for first appointment: doctor takes the records, sends it to you, you place an order, you scan the records, and then we send you the files, you print a trine. Doctor gets said trine, evaluates it. If he needs to do a wash or a bite, he does that, sends it back to you, and then if needed, we'll make adjustments based off of what you scan and what you requested. Then you'll get separate tooth and base files. You will create your supports for the teeth, you'll print the teeth, you'll create your supports for the base, you'll print the base, and then you'll bond them together, clean them, post-cure them, and polish them. If you have any questions or want more details on how to manufacture the dentures, as I mentioned before, you can go to dentca.com and you can find these step-by-step videos on how to do everything. You can also give us a call if you have any questions. Pricing for design, pricing for materials, pricing for supplies are also available online. And if you also want to find out more about news and updates regarding our products, please visit dentca.com for more information. Thank you so much for bearing with me, learning a little bit more about 3D printed dentures with our lab model. If you have any questions, please give us a call.